Historic Denmark wedding. Princess Leonor changes royal history forever. It was meant to be just another royal celebration, a union between two young heirs of Europe. But no one expected what happened next. Because on this historic day in Denmark, Princess Leonor of Spain didn't just walk down the aisle, she changed royal history forever. For years, the world had watched her grow from a shy teenage princess into a poised, confident future queen. But today, standing under the ancient arches of Copenhagen Cathedral, she became something more, an icon of a new royal generation. The bells rang through the crisp Nordic air, echoing across the city as thousands lined the streets waving Spanish and Danish flags. From the royal palace balcony to the cobbled squares, everyone could feel it. This wasn't just a wedding, it was the birth of a new European era. The setting was breathtaking. Inside the cathedral, decorated with ivory roses and royal blue silk, every seat was filled with kings, queens, and heads of state. Queen Letizia and King Felipe sat with visible emotion, their daughter moments away from binding two monarchies with love, not diplomacy. But then came the moment that stunned the world. As Leonor stepped out of the royal carriage, her gown shimmered in the light, a blend of Spanish tradition and Danish heritage. It was more than fashion, it was a symbol. The hand-embroidered lace carried the insignia of both kingdoms, a gesture that no royal bride before her had dared to make. The crowd gasped. Cameras flashed. Even Queen Margrethe II, seated with quiet grace, seemed visibly moved. The symbolism was powerful, Spain and Denmark united, not by politics, but by love and legacy. And yet, beneath the grandeur, whispers filled the room. Could this union truly reshape Europe's monarchies? What would it mean for the balance of royal power, and for Leonor's own destiny as Spain's future queen? That question hung in the air as she reached the altar, where Prince Christian stood waiting. His expression, a mixture of pride and awe, told the story of two hearts that had defied distance, duty, and expectation. When their eyes met, you could almost feel the history being rewritten in real time. The ceremony began. The archbishop's voice carried through the silence, invoking centuries of royal tradition. But even as the ancient words echoed, Leonor and Christian's vows felt strikingly modern, personal, tender, deeply human. They promised not just loyalty to their crowns, but devotion to each other, to their people, and to the future they would one day lead together. As they exchanged rings, crafted from gold mined in both nations, the applause erupted like a wave. Royals who rarely showed emotion were suddenly on their feet. Tears glistened in Queen Letizia's eyes, even King Felipe, ever the stoic monarch, broke into a proud smile. Outside, Denmark's skies cleared as if on cue, sunlight breaking through over Amalienborg Palace. Crowds cheered as the couple emerged, hand in hand, their carriage adorned with Spanish carnations and Danish tulips. For a moment, centuries of rivalry and distance dissolved into pure celebration. But behind the fairy tale glow, the implications ran deep. This marriage wasn't just romantic, it was revolutionary. For the first time, two heirs apparent had chosen each other across borders, voluntarily intertwining two thrones that had once stood apart. Analysts called it the royal alliance of the century. In Madrid, celebrations erupted across Spain. Massive screens in Puerta del Sol broadcast the ceremony live. Citizens waved the national flag, chanting Leonor's name as if welcoming a new chapter in their monarchy's story. In Denmark, the atmosphere was just as electric. The people adored Christian's humility and charm, but they were fascinated by Leonor's strength, her calm intelligence, and her modern approach to royal duty. Together, they represented something few monarchies had managed to embody in the modern age: unity through love. Later that evening, at the state banquet, the symbolism continued. The menu featured Spanish seafood and Danish pastries, a blend of their two cultures. But the highlight wasn't the cuisine, it was the first dance. Under the glittering chandeliers of the royal ballroom, Leonor and Christian moved in perfect rhythm. Cameras flashed. The orchestra played softly. But what caught everyone's attention wasn't the grace of the dance, it was the emotion. They weren't performing for the world, they were simply two people in love. And yet, even in this moment of intimacy, the undercurrents of royal tension couldn't be ignored. Reports suggested that some within the Spanish court had been skeptical of the union, worried it might complicate Leonor's future reign. In contrast, Danish insiders whispered that Christian's choice of a foreign bride broke centuries of unspoken royal convention. But Leonor had never been one to follow old rules. She had been raised for this, to lead, to evolve, to challenge the monarchy's outdated boundaries. And now, standing beside Christian, she was proving that love could be the most powerful act of leadership. As the night continued, speeches filled the hall. King Felipe rose to his feet, his voice steady yet emotional. He spoke of the unity between nations, the hope this marriage symbolized, and his pride as a father witnessing his daughter take her place not only in history, but in the hearts of millions. When Leonor took the microphone, the world fell silent. Her words were calm, humble, yet unforgettable. She spoke not as a princess, but as a woman who believed in building bridges. Love, she said, is the only crown that grows stronger when shared. Applause erupted. It was more than a wedding, it was a statement. A declaration that the monarchy of tomorrow would no longer be defined by rigid hierarchy, but by compassion, equality, and purpose. The following morning, newspapers across Europe called it the wedding that changed everything. Editorials hailed Leonor as the new face of royal Europe. For Spain, she was no longer just the heir, she was the embodiment of hope, unity, and modern womanhood. In Denmark, Christian's popularity soared. Citizens admired how grounded he remained, even under the spotlight. Together, they became a global symbol of love grounded in duty and destiny. But beyond the headlines, something deeper had shifted. The royal families of Europe, once divided by centuries of politics, now found themselves connected through this single, remarkable event. And as the couple began their first official duties as husband and wife, the world watched a new era unfold. Months later, Leonor returned to Madrid for her first public appearance as a married royal. Her speech to the Spanish parliament drew millions of viewers worldwide. Her tone was confident yet empathetic, her message clear: tradition must evolve, or it fades. The world listened, not just because she wore a crown, but because she spoke with conviction. That's when it became clear, this wasn't just a royal love story. It was a turning point in European history. From Copenhagen to Madrid, from royal halls to city streets, people could feel it. Princess Leonor had changed what it meant to be royal. She had turned duty into passion, and power into partnership. And as the camera fades on this historic day, one truth remains undeniable: love didn't just unite two hearts, it reshaped two nations. And in doing so, Princess Leonor didn't just make history, she became it.